Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk today about how, yes, somebody can be a white African. And for somebody to think that a person can't be a white African is just wrong, asinine, and ludicrous to think that. I didn't say the person was asinine or ludicrous. I said it's ludicrous and asinine to think that. The thought is ludicrous. Big difference. Okay, let me explain. Okay, you can be a white African, and let me explain. Okay, there are African Americans, there are Hispanic Americans. Okay, there are Cuban Americans. You can be an American and be born, if you're born in America or become a naturalized U.S. citizen, you're an American. And yes, okay, African Americans years ago, a lot of them came to America against their will. But one, a lot of them were slaves in Africa to begin with. And then number two, over the course of generations, African Americans realized that America was their home. Okay? And African Americans are Americans, just like there are white Africans. Now, let's go to South Africa. Yes, Jan van Riebeeck was the first white person to arrive in South Africa. And he was a colonialist, and he annexed some land that belonged to the Khoisan. He probably shouldn't have done. Okay, but before I go any further than that, the Khoisan fired the first shot, and they tried to poison a lot of the Dutch's cows. Okay, now it was more or less confusion on the Khoisan's part. If I saw people that I've never seen before, I might would think they're intruders too if they were that close to my land. But at the same time, a lot of the Dutch settlers didn't know that the Khoisan were there either. So it was more or less just confusion on both people's part. But still, the Dutch settlers shouldn't have done that, okay? But not all Afrikaners are Dutch, okay? There are some that are of German descent, actually plenty of them. And then there are some that are of French descent, okay? There were people who were French Protestants called the Huguenots, and they fled France to escape religious persecution from the Catholic majority. And they settled in South Africa to escape tyranny and persecution. And that's why over the years, South Africa became their home. That's why you can be a white African, okay? And it's the same with people in Zimbabwe. I mean, a lot of the whites in Zimbabwe have been there for generations, okay? Both the black and the white population of South Africa are colonialist for the most part. Not all of them. As I said, the Huguenots weren't. And somebody can be an Australian that's white, and a lot of whites came to Australia against their will years ago because a lot of them were prisoners in England, and Australia was established as a prison colony. But both the whites and the Aborigines are considered Australian, as they should be. So it doesn't compute that somebody can't be a white African. And AfriForum went to the United States to promote their documentary Tainted Heroes, and they went around asking people questions. Can somebody be a white African? And this one lady had said, of course. Yeah. And then they asked, what do you think you have to be a white African? She said, born in Africa. And then they asked this Nigerian immigrant who came to the United States from Nigeria, and he said, do you think you can, they asked him, they said, do you think you can be a white African? And he said, yes, because when you peel off the skin, we all pump the same blood. It's all red blood. So, he didn't say this, but I'm going to say that we're all God's children, okay? He did point out there was not a difference between black and white. I mean, we're all God's children. Okay? So, yes, the white South Africans and the white Zimbabweans in South Africa and Zimbabwe today, same with Namibia, they are just as African as the black Africans who live there. Okay? Hope everyone's doing well. Take care. God bless them. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.